In this episode today, the vice president has reacted to the violent brawl that took place in Cincinnati, Ohio over the weekend, and Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney has appealed her case to the Supreme Court, looking to get her conviction thrown out. Of course, we got to talk about both of these stories. I'm going to show you what both sides are saying and more, and then give you the bottom line.
Vice President J.D. Vance earlier condemning a violent brawl that injured at least 2 people in Cincinnati over the weekend. It was all captured on camera. Here you can see a man. He is surrounded by attackers, seemingly relentlessly beaten on the street. That crowd kicking, punching, beating him. A woman also attacked. She was knocked out by an unidentified suspect. The disturbing video going viral, causing a lot of chatter online. Elon Musk posting multiple times on X, writing, quote, "That guy almost killed this woman. Aggravated assault."
Okay, there is so much to say about this story, but you know me, I like to get to the point and the bottom line, so bear with me on this. Point number 1, if you're out there condemning ghetto and violent behavior of black people, newsflash, it doesn't make you racist. Point number 2, black people beating up white people will always go viral on social media. The algorithm knows what's going to get people's attention. Point number 3, this is a culture issue in the black community, to be honest with you guys. Not all black people are a monolith, by the way. Not all are aggressive and angry, looking to get into a fight as the first step to a solution. But this is normalized behavior. Point number 4, will the local police department really do anything about this? Probably not. And I'm going to prove it to you. Here's the update in regards to the investigation. Take a listen.
Police say they have identified some of the people in that video.
That's right, Nicole. No arrests and no identities released of anybody, virtually. We still don't know anybody in that video. The incident happened literally just over my shoulder here, downtown Cincinnati on Friday night. The videos are difficult to watch. The chief of police says what happened was cruel and absolutely unnecessary. But I want to walk through the video so our viewers have a sense of what's going on. And be warned, these are not easy to watch. You can see a crowd of people attacking at least 2 males on the ground. In the footage, you see a man, a white male. We do not know his identity. He was hit repeatedly, falls to the ground. A group continues to assault the man while he lies on the ground. He tries to get up, falls again, disoriented, and you can hear people cheering throughout this whole thing. In a separate video, you see a white female checking on the fallen man, and a male punches her hard, just square in the face. She falls back and appears to be unconscious on the ground, bleeding, her head just having hit the concrete. It's horrific. We don't know the woman's identity either, or even how she's doing. Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thiege has issued a statement saying, "I'm in complete disgust waking up to the viral video many of you have now seen. The behavior displayed is nothing short of cruel and absolutely unacceptable. Our investigative team is working diligently to identify every individual involved in causing harm."
Yeah, as I told you guys, nothing's really going to happen. The police department, I mean, this is normal stuff, okay? They probably get calls about this every weekend. The only difference here, it's a viral video where the vice president of the United States not only commented on it, but left a post on social media. So, of course, the powers that be in Cincinnati have to leave a statement. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, and this actually applies to both sides of the debate here, because there is a debate, because I know I will get somebody in my DM complaining about my video so far. Someone's going to say, "Devore, didn't you hear the white dude? He called the black dude the N-word." Okay, let me just make sure I understand this. So I'm willing to lose time out on my family, my wife, the leader of my home. I'm willing to leave that behind to go to jail because someone called me the N-word. Is that what you're saying? Because that's a complete joke in my opinion, okay? They're going to have to do more than call me the N-word to warrant a physical altercation, okay? And the other side is, well, what the heck's wrong with black people? Why are they all aggressive? I told you black people are not monolith. This is Cincinnati. Read the room, right? Meaning, I don't know why those white people were in that area to begin with at that time of night. That's my own personal opinion. I don't know what led to the altercation, but I know altercations just don't happen out of the blue. Usually there are exchange of words. Usually there's a confrontation and then a fight ensues. Now, here's what the vice president had to say. Take a listen.
Hear about this.
There was a group of people who attacked a couple folks on the street in Cincinnati. Senator Bernie Moreno, some others have spoken out about it, have been critical of it.
Okay, yes. So what I saw, and I haven't seen the full context, but what I saw is a mob of lawless thugs beating up on an innocent person, and it's disgusting. And I hope every single one of those people who engage in violence is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And they will be. They will be so long as law enforcement in the state of Ohio takes their job seriously. I know Dave Yost cares a lot about these things. But yeah, I actually, you're right. Bernie did send me a clip of this, and we talked a little bit about it. I don't know the full context. I don't know how the fight started. But the one part that I saw that was really gruesome is you had a grown man who sucker punched a middle-aged woman. And where I come from, at least, when you have a grown man who sucker punches a middle-aged woman, that person ought to go to jail for a very long time. And frankly, he's lucky there weren't some better people around, because they would have handled it themselves. But if they're not going to handle it, the cops in Cincinnati, the law enforcement, you've got to prosecute people. We've had way too much lawlessness on the streets of great American cities. How many of you all have wanted to go to downtown Akron or downtown Canton or downtown Columbus for a meal, but you're worried because the local authorities in these big cities have allowed lawlessness to run wild?
Yeah, so the point that the vice president is making, I'm all in agreement with. Any man who sucker punches a middle-aged woman who clearly can't defend herself is weak, for sure, okay? It's not like she was attacking them, okay, and they had to defend themselves. It's nothing like that. The bottom line here, guys, is people behave this way because that's the way they grew up. It's normalized behavior. When I grew up, my adopted mother was on me constantly, like she was a drill sergeant, about being a thug, about sagging my pants, about talking a certain way. I mean, she would never allow it. If I even was doing a little two-step, if I even sagged my pants slightly, oh, she was all over me. I was getting my butt whooped. And I thank her for that, because that is the standard of how parenting should be.
Harmeet Dillon, she is the assistant, I believe, acting attorney for the district DOJ, Civil Rights Division. She says they're watching to see how authorities here handle this with regard to hate crimes. She mentioned that in just a recent post on X, Nicole. So this is an evolving situation, a very complicated, still identities of all these people unknown, or even how the victims are doing.
Okay, so before we move any further, please listen to this special message from today's sponsor, Chapter. If you or someone you know is seeking to get on Medicare, then you really need to pay attention here, because there's no question that it's frustrating, in fact, confusing at times. And I actually believe it's on purpose, especially when I heard that the Department of Justice is suing the top 3 brokers in the country for kickbacks. Why? Because they want to steer you into the wrong plans in order to get paid. And here's the bottom line to it. Chapter has unbiased, independent Medicare advisors, salary-based, not looking to waste your time or your money. The call with them is totally free, and they will walk you step by step to find the plan that fits your needs. So call Chapter today, 323-431-5200. Get the answers you need so you can get the Medicare plan you deserve. Again, that number is 323-431-5200. This call could literally save you thousands of dollars. All right, so let's move on to our next story. And now we're talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, okay? As expected, as people predicted, her attorney is seeking not only just a pardon, by the way, she has now submitted a brief to the Supreme Court to get her conviction thrown out. Yeah, you got to hear this for yourself. Take a listen.
And attorneys for Ghislaine Maxwell made a final pitch to the Supreme Court. They're asking justices to overturn her 2021 conviction for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse young girls, saying it violates an agreement that Epstein made back in 2008 that shielded any co-conspirators from prosecution. The Justice Department wants the High Court to reject her appeal, but Maxwell's attorney said this in a statement, quote, "We're appealing not only to the Supreme Court, but to the president himself to recognize how profoundly unjust it is to scapegoat Ghislaine Maxwell for Epstein's crimes, especially when the government promised she would not be prosecuted," end quote. Meantime, a source tells CNN that Maxwell received limited immunity to talk with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche about the Epstein files last week. Those discussions were not mentioned in today's filing.
Okay, so let's just read the room here. If you were her attorney, wouldn't you be doing the same thing, trying to get the Supreme Court to vacate the conviction? Okay, let's just read the room for a second. You are her attorney. All eyes are now on her. The government's looking for more answers. What do? You build leverage. You go to the Supreme Court, try to get the conviction thrown out, right? You try to say, hey, the former Department of Justice back in the day that made the agreement with Jeffrey Epstein that said, hey, they wouldn't prosecute anybody else. I'm that somebody else. Why am I in prison? That's exactly what you would do. Now, just so you guys understand, she helped Jeffrey Epstein. She committed some of the crimes that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no scenario in my mind where she should be let out of prison. She belongs in prison. The problem with America is we take it too easy on people who are sexually abusing children. They should get life as far as I'm concerned. Now, I might be an extremist on this issue, but that's because I have a bias because of what happened to me as a child. And I understand other people don't see it that way. But I don't believe she belongs out of prison. Just my own personal opinion.
I think the play we're going to see from Maxwell's team is obvious and the right play from any defense lawyer's perspective, which is to make an argument to DOJ. Look, she has now come forward. She has given you valuable, truthful information. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that'll be what Maxwell's attorney says. And therefore, we want you to go to a court and ask for sentencing leniency. From DOJ's perspective, it's a little bit unclear what exactly they're doing. I am skeptical that Ghislaine Maxwell is anywhere near credible enough to sign up as a cooperator and to bring other indictments based on her information. I cannot envision myself ever having done that. It would shock me if DOJ did that. So maybe they're just trying to get her information. Maybe they have some interest in getting whatever she said out there to the public to try to appease critics. But there's an interesting sort of political and legal dance happening here between the parties.
Okay, so if she gets the Supreme Court to throw out her conviction, I mean, I think people will be stunned. If President Trump gives her a pardon, people will be stunned. I mean, it's getting interesting to say the least. This is not going away. I think that's become abundantly clear. But, you know, my thing in the end is if she gets a pardon, she better have something so damning that it's every bit of a bombshell. I mean, she's got to have something record breaking that we've never heard or seen in history as it pertains to elite rich people getting caught up in something like this and actually being held accountable. So that's the only way that I could potentially see a pardon from President Trump. So I guess it begs the question, what happens if he was to go down that route?
Let's remember what she was convicted of. She was not convicted of assisting Jeffrey Epstein in procuring, if you will, women. These were children. These were girls. This is the sex trafficking of children. Yes, Donald Trump is correct. Legally, he can give her a pardon if he wants. I think it's playing with dynamite, particularly since it's his base that ignited this latest firestorm about a lack of disclosure in the whole Epstein debacle, right? So I think it would be a difficult move for him to make. Doesn't mean he wouldn't make it. Also quite interesting is the fact that while he may be considering a pardon, his Department of Justice has filed a response to Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers saying that her prosecution was perfectly justifiable under the law. Very interesting.
Okay, so in other words, it's going to take some time to figure out exactly what the strategy is here. DOJ is not really making their strategy public, but we'll see where this goes. And again, what caught people's attention is what the president had to say about a potential pardon for Maxwell. Here's what he said this morning.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news about that aspect of it, but right now it would be inappropriate to talk about it.
That's a phenomenal answer from the president. I mean, he doesn't have to say one way or the other. I mean, I'm sure people would love for him just to say, no, I would never issue her a pardon. I'm sure people would love that, but that's not the way President Trump is, okay? So I'm not surprised by his answer, and I agree with it. Now, they did ask the vice president a similar question. Here's what he had to say.
I guess I'm going to be that person. There are some protesters outside accusing the GOP of protecting pedophiles, and we're wondering what you think are the reasons the U.S. government should shield the client list of Epstein from the public, and what you have to say about any relevance to that here today.
Well, let me say just a couple of things. First of all, the president has been very clear. We're not shielding anything. The president has directed the attorney general to release all credible information and, frankly, to go and find additional credible information related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's been incredibly transparent about that stuff, but some of that stuff takes time. You've got to assemble that stuff. You've got to compile that stuff. You've got to redact some victims' names so that you protect the victims. But the president has been very clear. He wants full transparency. He's asked that from the Attorney General, and I know, because I talk to her all the time, the Attorney General is hard at work on that issue right now. But I think I got to make an observation that there's an interesting thing about this case that the American media seems to totally ignore. For 4 years, under Joe Biden's Department of Justice, the media didn't give a damn about the Epstein files or about the Epstein case. For literally 20 years, the story about this scumbag, and he is a scumbag pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, he's dead now, but for 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case.
Okay, so just so you guys understand the timeline that supports the vice president and what he was saying, which was spot on. 2006, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. 2008, he pled guilty to state charges, not federal charges, which the U.S. Attorney of Miami, Acosta, who ended up becoming President Trump's labor secretary, ended up resigning because that actually blew back on him, by the way. But anyways, Jeffrey Epstein was released from prison 1 year later in 2009. Then proceeded to commit more crimes until it was 2018 when he was finally arrested again. 2019 was sent to prison and then ultimately committed suicide, which is what they all want us to believe. So bottom line is, I don't care what administration it was. This guy pretty much got off scot-free in the beginning, committed crimes once again, and that's the reality of our justice system. When it comes to people who are sex trafficking, abusing minors, anything of that nature, why is America so soft on these people? I don't get it. I'm telling you, these people should at minimum get life. But for the life of me, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. And no pun intended, of course. And so now I want to get your guys' opinion in the comment section below to both of these stories. Are you on the same page as me and JD Vance that this type of behavior should be condemned? I don't care what skin color you are. But in Cincinnati, in that area, we saw a video of black people beating up white people. Where do you stand on this issue? Let me know about that. And let's not forget about Ghislaine Maxwell, who has been convicted of child sex trafficking crimes, seeking the Supreme Court to vacate her conviction. Do you believe she deserves a second chance from the Supreme Court? Or do you believe she belongs in prison for the rest of her life? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, in our next video, the EU is facing backlash for closing that deal with President Trump. Also, the president reacted to what's happening in Gaza. You're going to want to check out these stories and more in the next video. So if you want to see it for yourself, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.